The day Selena got engaged to G-Town's young master, she had her assistant send me a contract. It listed a few houses and 70 million in savings. Selena asked if there was anything else I needed. She even offered to introduce me to some friends if I wanted to get married. I'd known Selena for 8 years, always valued my pride too high, never asked for anything. This time I just smiled and said okay. No more pretending that I wanted love, not money. Strictly speaking, Selena and I had a sugar daddy sugar baby relationship. We first met in high school, just ordinary students back then. When we were in sophomore year, I lost both of my parents and ended up with only debt. The school had me stand on the stage with a donation box, bearing the curious stares from my classmates in the sunlight. There were all sorts of reactions, mostly sympathy, less so people just watching the drama, and a few who were in similar situations as me. Only Selena approached with a lazy curiosity, asking, "Hey, I heard you're top of the class. Wanna do homework for me? $100 each time." Selena came from a well-off family, maybe even extremely well-off. If her parents weren't so set on giving her life experiences, folks like me probably wouldn't have crossed paths with a girl like her. She was there for the life experience, didn't really care about studies. But Selena was popular. She wasn't showy or bossy, and she had a very pretty face. Everyone who mattered wanted to be friends with her. Quite the contrast to my quiet, reserved nature. Our circles rarely overlapped. So this might have been our first real conversation in 2 years of being classmates. Our unlikely pairing became the talk of the class. Some whispered, "Is Selena doing this out of sympathy for Michael? Doesn't want to hurt his pride?" I believed it. Why else would someone like her need homework done? Maybe just some playful charity from the rich girl. I sat quietly, imitating her handwriting with care. Whether it was sympathy or charity didn't matter much to me. I really needed the money, and Selena was generous. After getting the homework, she'd inspect it seriously in the sunlight. Sometimes, when in a good mood, she'd praise me, "Not bad. You don't need to copy my writing. Yours is just fine. Let's keep it up." Then she'd promptly pay me $100. $100 felt light in hand. In those days, I did 32 assignments for Selena. She gave me 3,200 total. To her, it was just trivial pocket change. But for me, it meant a meal upgrade or an extra workbook. I was grateful to Selena. But for those students whose lives were dull outside studying, gossip was a great diversion. Our arrangement went on long enough that gossip changed. No longer was it about her feeling sorry for me, but about liking me. "I bet Selena likes Michael. Yeah, there's chemistry between them." It spread in the grade like wildfire. Some said Selena had a secret crush on me. Others gossiped about my aloof attitude being a ploy to reel her in. I overheard it all. But when asked about my feelings for Selena, it wasn't love, but there was goodwill. At 17 or 18, who wouldn't be moved by a girl being kind to them? I wasn't dumb. I understood her intentions and her kindness. But back then, I didn't dare. Like that summer, I was working late, missed the last bus, and couldn't bear to waste money on a taxi. So I walked home. I got a message from Selena on the way. She asked what I was doing. Before I could reply, she sent a photo. She was on vacation in the Maldives. In the picture, she stood on a crystal-clear beach, laughing freely, seemingly without a care in the world. Selena playfully asked, "How do I look?" I smiled, about to reply. Distracted by my phone, I accidentally kicked a can. The sound echoed through the quiet, run-down alley, pulling me back to reality. I stopped walking, looking up at the dim streetlight, and then at the sunny, beachy image on my phone. Suddenly, I remembered the gossip about Selena's feelings for me. Why does Selena like Michael? He's not even that good-looking. Maybe girls just like those who play hard to get. Even if they date, it won't last long. Too many differences. Selena's just having fun. Thinking about it, I couldn't help but chuckle wryly. But before I could dwell, Selena was sent abroad by her family before our senior year. I got into a university in Sea City after my exams. I thought my connection with Selena would end there. Didn't expect our paths to cross again when I hit rock bottom. 8 years ago, I was interning at a construction company. An accident during a project resulted in a death. When accountability was traced, responsibility unexpectedly landed on me, the intern. I couldn't defend myself. The company representatives even tried to convince me, Michael, you signed it, so it's your problem. You're young. You can handle a couple of years inside and bounce back. No big deal. I was an unknown graduate with no connections in C-City. Just 20 grand saved from part-time jobs in college. I spent it all seeking legal advice and negotiating settlements. I was homeless for 3 days under a bridge, utterly hopeless back then. On the 4th day, something unexpected happened. A bunch of luxury cars suddenly pulled up in front of me. A few people dressed in suits stepped out, including the senior executive who just days ago was threatening to put me behind bars. The moment he saw me, he was all apologies, bowing and scraping. I was stunned by how things turned. That's when Selena showed up. She stepped out of a car that I couldn't name and helped me off the ground. She leaned down to brush the dirt off my pants, focusing on tidying up my messy hair and clothes. She didn't say a word, just listened patiently as the executive explained the situation and how easily Selena had resolved it. I silently listened and couldn't help but glance at Selena beside me. She was so different from the spirited girl in a school uniform I remembered. Now she was tall and poised, exuding a sort of power. Her cool fingers lifted my chin, her deep black eyes holding a gaze I couldn't read. Over the years, the details of how it ended faded for me. But I still remember what she asked me. She said, Michael, I need a handsome date. Interested? And she joked softly, oh, and don't fall in love with me. I stayed by Selena's side for 8 years. Some say her words were a warning to me. Others think they were just a joke. But from the time Selena took over the company and later took power in C-City, many people came and went, but I remained constant. For such uniqueness, people often sent their best wishes. Selena must really love you, they'd say. She's got a special place for you. Of course, any good wishes were meant to be shared, so I'd tease Selena with them. She didn't mind. If she was in a good mood, she'd play along, throwing in a sappy line like, if I want to pamper you, I will. The young employees at the company would sometimes catch us and rush to the break room, full of envy. And then they'd complain about their girlfriends, who were neither wealthy nor charming. Some bold ones even asked how I made Selena so fond of me. I would just smile and avoid answering because Selena wasn't as easygoing as she seemed. 3 months after she took me into her villa, she suddenly asked me to go out with her to meet someone. As I sat in the car, I was puzzled. I wasn't really the sociable type. In school, I mostly studied or worked, never forming close friendships, not even with classmates or roommates. So, there wasn't anyone I wanted to visit, and certainly not someone Selena would escort me to see. But when I was led to a prison to see the man who tried to pin an engineering accident on me, I finally understood that 2 different worlds wasn't just a class divide. The once mighty project manager didn't look too good in prison. He appeared exhausted, with dark circles under his eyes. His once proud ears were now half gone, stitched up roughly, hanging off his head. He seemed scared out of his mind, babbling about his sins through the visitation glass over the prison phone. On my way out, I couldn't help but ask a guard what had happened. The guard said, "Oh, him? Got into fights with other inmates, didn't win, got himself hurt. Really, causing trouble even in here, such a hassle for us." Back then, I had my suspicions. As I spent more time by Selena's side, watching her handle what she called trivial matters, I finally understood that power, for everyday folks, was a great chasm, a desire unbridgeable. A simple move could ruin someone's life, leaving them destitute. A mere glance and people would rush to do her bidding. One time, after she got her hands bloody, she reached for me, and I instinctively stepped back. She paused, her expression flat, and asked, "Scared?" Back then, when my parents' deaths were the biggest thing in my life, and I was taking the fall for others, I couldn't claim not to be scared. But that day, my mind was strangely clear, and I shook my head, fighting the nausea. I took a tissue from my bag and carefully wiped her hands clean, saying, "I just don't like the smell of blood." Looking back, that might have been the best decision I ever made. Without Selena, I might have been the one in prison, lost in a fog of despair. That night when Selena came home, she was intense. Since our first time, she had always been gentle, rarely showing so much emotion. She was restless all night. It was long enough for me to lose track of time, staring at the horizon and not sure if it was dawn or dusk. Afterward, Selena left for a 3-month trip, but she sent many things back to me. Among them were a no-limit secondary card and luxurious items with a sparkle I'd only seen online. I didn't reject her gifts because Selena didn't like refusal, but I didn't keep them either. I stored everything in the room Selena had set up for me, preserving my last bit of dignity. I was too young, thinking I still had a grip on life, naive enough to believe I could maintain self-respect. Everybody always said, "Selena cares so much for you. Of course she likes you. I've never seen her treat anyone like this, Michael. Don't worry." How could her words be a warning? They must have been a joke. But when you're in the fog, it's often hard to see the path clearly. Sometimes, hearing something too often makes it hard not to believe it, even if just a little. Back when I was in my 20s, I truly did fall for Selena. When Selena approached me at first, she said she needed a handsome companion. I figured I'd be a sort of front man, a showpiece for the public eye, like an unwritten agreement, a kept sparrow. But in reality, Selena and I were more like an unconventional partnership. She never messed with my freedom or limited my actions. She only relished in the fun of steering things. At first, Selena had me working as her personal assistant, serving tea, fetching water, tying ties, driving, dining, attending drink events. Sounded simple enough. I've been handy since I was a kid and lived alone for ages. These small daily errands should have been easy, but they turned out to be harder than I thought. When entangled with society and etiquette, everything changes. The timing of bringing water, the preference in food orders, even how you address and tone your voice became an art. I took a fair share of hits while figuring these out. Once I got the hang of it, I moved up to being Selena's exclusive assistant, handling documents, reporting company status, and collaboration processes. More specialized. It required some crash learning sessions to fill gaps school never covered. In earlier days, when power wasn't stable, Selena trusted no one. She loved piling things onto me and watching my frustration. I got annoyed enough to throw files and yell, "Selena, this is your company, not mine." She'd just smile, not at all upset. She'd even pat my back, soothing like she would a pet, painting dreams of vacations once projects wrapped. Except, projects never wrapped. Vacations were cut short by a phone call that pulled us right back to the grind. Later, when I got better at my job, Selena settled into her own. Those moments became fleeting, but I'll always remember fixing her tie after a red-eye flight, just before a meeting. She'd always introduce me as "This is my boyfriend Michael," also my assistant in such smooth fashion. Yep, Selena never shied away from acknowledging me publicly. Just like when she treated me, always gentle and patient. At times, we seemed just like any other couple. Rock climbing, fishing, squeezing into crowded concerts together. I knew how busy Selena was. After all, I coordinated her schedules for years. Yet, she always found time to be part of my life. No matter how she jetted around, she'd detour through City C just to check in, asking if I'd lost weight, reminding me to eat. For Selena, money solved most things. But with me, she preferred to handle things personally. She openly displayed our relationship to everyone. The subtle care and warmth were hard to ignore, hard to dismiss. Not to mention the respect and kindness she showed to a laughing teenager back when I was 17. Falling for Selena was easy. Looking back, I think Selena knew it'd unfold this way. She warned me not to fall for her the very first time we met. But I turned a blind eye, lost in other people's words. Luckily, I realized it before it was too late. Right before I confessed my feelings, a guy named Alex approached me. He met Selena 6 months ago at a social gathering. He said he'd fallen for her and hoped I'd step aside. Honestly, from the first time Selena asked if I'd be her date, I knew our dynamic was benefactor and showpiece, not to be misinterpreted. I wasn't naive. I knew plenty who tried approaching Selena over the years, both men and women. Alex seemed deliberately placed for Selena. Back when I accompanied Selena, I fixed many such situations. It all seemed to give me face value respect. But I never thought Selena acted to spare my feelings. Selena's refusals came from being genuinely busy. Evenings that painted the city, she'd rest her head against a couch by the window, holding me, often complaining, "Wish I didn't have to get up tomorrow." These years beside her gave me a strong presence. Though the truth was apparent, everyone hid it from me, as if revealing it would cause chaos and drama. "Michael, we didn't tell you because we were worried about you feeling hurt or sad. Relax, though. Selena's just putting on a show with them. She truly loves you." Things didn't unfold as they thought, because it wasn't me who caused the scene. It was Alex. He pleaded with me for a chance with Selena. He said he hadn't contacted her in ages. "Michael, I can't keep loving so pitifully." That day he cried endlessly before me. Company staff, curious but cautious, indirectly witnessed the spectacle. In the lounge, it became a public interrogation of sorts. A lover pleading before another lover wasn't dignified but rather an embarrassing attempt at maintaining respect. Lucky for everyone, Selena had someone come take Alex away. He left as he hoped, with tears dried, heart in hand, assured and self-fulfilled. That night, during dinner, Selena calmly asked me if I was upset. I shook my head and said I wasn't. Selena chuckled a bit and promised to make it up to me. People's looks toward me shifted from sympathy to pity. I knew what they were thinking, stuff like family feuds and jostling for favor and power. I didn't want to explain or argue. But soon their views changed when Selena ruthlessly forced Alex out of her life. When I heard he was trying to see me, I sighed softly by the window. Selena is always careful, and she wouldn't act on a whim unless Alex tried to take advantage. The last time I saw him, Alex told me how good Selena was to him, gave him everything he wanted, treated him with kindness, doted on him beyond imagination. He'd never met a woman like her nor expected such an ending. Alex barely fussed for a couple of days before disappearing completely. Whose handiwork was it? Pretty obvious, I'd say. Late at night, I often woke up startled by Alex's face filled with despair. He was like a siren warning me about my future. "Selena, oh Selena. When she likes you, she'll give you all her patience and create a dream for you. But when she doesn't, no amount of pleading will get her attention." I shouldn't have had any expectations. When Selena asked what compensation I wanted, I just joked, "I don't need money. I crave loads of your love." I wasn't surprised when her secretary handed me an agreement. Word spread a month ago about her engagement to a young master from City G. City G made quite the show of it. Headlines, multi-angle photos, and a half-page write-up. A textbook business marriage. Selena's well-planned underwater tunnel project proceeded right on schedule. Today, the media dedicated prime time to broadcasting the grand engagement ceremony. On TV, Selena wore a precisely tailored white dress, mingling with guests and accepting blessings with a smile. She accepted a ring from her fiancé amidst expectant gazes. They took photos and shared a kiss. Everything seemed harmonious and perfect. The ceremony left the guests satisfied, while the viewers were left with nothing but a blank screen as the broadcast ended. I sat quietly in the living room, listening and watching quietly, a dull ache spreading in my heart. It felt like picking a just purple grape from a spring green vine, only to find it left a sour taste. Over the years, I did wonder if Selena might get married and what she'd do with me. Would I wisely choose to leave, or wait for her to sort things out? Yet, I never truly understood Selena. That morning, when I helped her with her necklace, she suddenly said, "Michael, I'm getting married." I didn't expect such bluntness. I paused, thought briefly, then smiled and said, "Congratulations." Selena seemed unwilling to let the subject end so plainly. She added, "After I marry, we'll live together." I quickly joked back, "Oh, really? Where will I stay? Under your bed?" Selena laughed, patted my shoulder, and promised she'd sort everything for me. See? Years later, she's still a woman of her word. The agreement the secretary gave me was straightforward. In exchange for my silence, Selena transferred several luxury apartments and $70 million in savings to me. The properties were in the most upscale part of City H, miles from City C. I didn't object, quickly looked over the agreement. The secretary, noticing this, asked if I needed anything else. Selina had instructed him to include any additional requests I might have in the agreement. I thought for a moment, shook my head, and said no. The secretary swiftly organized the paperwork for me to sign and stamp. Just before he left, as I was about to ask him to thank Selina for me, he turned and added, "Do you plan on getting married soon? Selina mentioned she could introduce you to a few friends in City H." His words stopped me in my tracks, and I couldn't help but smile wryly. I glanced at the agreement, knowing the secretary was just relaying Selina's words. I didn't want to make things difficult for someone just doing their job, so I smiled and thanked him, saying, "Sure, thanks Selina for me." I followed Selina for 8 years, always valuing my dignity too much to accept anything. This time, I didn't want to decline money or make cliché comments about love. 2 days later, I packed up and left City C. I departed on a day when spring rain lightly drizzled from the sky. City C's airport had a vast skyline stretching to the walkway, reminiscent of the footbridge where I once sheltered from rain 8 years ago. I didn't take the collection room with me, but Selina generously converted it all into cash, deposited directly into my account. She arranged for someone to see me off and set everything up for me in City H, as though my move was only a vacation. When I arrived in City H, I feared feeling uneasy, but the climate was so pleasant, even more livable than City C. I had quickly agreed, and Selina had kept her end of the bargain. In not too long, I started receiving calls from people in City H wanting to meet, have meals, and discuss marriage. Selina's introductions were well suited. People with good family backgrounds and refined manners. Even the parents were rare examples of openness and understanding. Everything seemed fine, but as we talked, I often found myself a bit lost in thought. Eventually, even I realized I wasn't in the best state. I apologized to her and turned down further invitations. A few days later, Selina's assistant reached out, asking, "What's up, Michael? Are you not satisfied with any of these people?" I told him no, but that I wasn't planning to get married anytime soon. What I didn't tell him was that I didn't want to see traces of Selina in anyone else. Later, I spent a few more days at home. Then, on a whim, I bought a random plane ticket and started traveling the world. I had plenty of time and money. I toured through the Nordic countries, then left from Chile, crossing the Drake Passage to Antarctica. Sitting on the balcony of a cruise ship, looking at the deep blue glaciers, I wondered what my life would have been like without Selina. Jail? Freedom? Struggling to make ends meet? In the end, just an unclear future. While traveling in Melbourne, I met a guy named Samuel. We met in a foreign police station after both getting pickpocketed. Samuel was a talkative young guy. Back home, his family was in the medical devices industry, a typical rich kid who never worried about money. But lately, he was stressed about dividing the family inheritance. His dad was a womanizer who left behind many illegitimate kids. He thought he was still strong in middle age, but died in bed with his new mistress without leaving a will. The family was in chaos, with relatives inside and outside vying for a piece. Samuel was his father's legitimate son, so naturally, everyone targeted him. But the kid was just in his early 20s, not great with books, just a free spender. His mother, too nice to stand her ground, couldn't handle the pressure from the family wolves. Samuel got hurt trying to get my wallet back, which made me feel guilty. I had nothing to do and couldn't stand watching, so I helped him out with some ideas. When I helped Samuel manage the company, I didn't realize why it felt so natural. Once Samuel stabilized the business, he gratefully told me, "Michael, you're amazing. Way better than the pros my mom hired." Then I remembered that years ago I was also called a special assistant. Back in the beginning, I was just like Samuel, knowing nothing. It was Selina. She dragged me from being an ignorant intern to someone experienced and skilled. From 17 to 30, she was always there, supporting me. But Selina, I should have hated you. How can I when you did so much? I suddenly realized what I hadn't let go of wasn't some unfinished love, but our former achievements and success together. That day, after saying goodbye to Samuel, I cried for a very long time. Long enough for the weather outside to clear. Long enough for me to be away from City C for over a year. Long enough for me to open domestic news and find out Selena was married. Long enough for me to finally let myself go. Back home, I returned to my profession, starting a project with Samuel and building a company foundation. In no time, I felt I'd found the perfect lifestyle for myself. I loved navigating the thrilling business world and was hooked on the power and patience it required. Seeing Selena again was 2 years later, at a business reception after my company went public. No one expected us, once great partners, to sit apart. I thought I'd be nervous or awkward seeing Selena again. But at this point, I found that I could stand up confidently, toast her gracefully, and say with a smile, "Selena, it's been a long time." I could face her calmly, talk with a smile, and discuss business after the banquet. Recently, we both eyed a project. Selena said she'd give it to me, and I gladly accepted. When I got back, Samuel confusedly asked, "Why? For a woman like that, you shouldn't be so nice. Why did you accept something from her?" I looked at his youthful face, filled with frustration and resentment. I didn't explain, just smiled and patted his shoulder, telling him, "Samuel, I'm a businessman. For a businessman, it's all about profits, not emotions. No point in sticking to feelings for something trivial." Later, Selena privately asked to meet again. I didn't agree at first. She offered a third of the project profits. Reluctantly, I went. The meeting was at a discreet Japanese restaurant. Selena sat across from me. She still carried herself with elegance, speaking in a gentle tone, saying, "Michael, these years must have been tough for you." She asked me, if I remember right, the money you took then was enough for a comfortable life. Why work so hard? Reclining in her chair, she watched me intently, slightly frowning, puzzled by my reasons. I didn't want to explain, just told her what you see as stability and what I see are two different things. In Selena's plan, Michael's stability was pleasure, material satisfaction, and a happy family. I knew she was upset I wasn't following the path she laid. But Selena, I'm no longer the 20-something Michael. After that, Selena and I never saw each other again. During this time, her husband, the famous Henry from City G, came to see me once. Alex was a very kind gentleman. He invited me for tea, stating he wasn't here to revisit the past, just simply curious to meet me. He said he found me intriguing. "Hey Michael, did you know that after you left, Selena went out with a few guys? At first, I thought she was just into that type. But after seeing your picture, I realized they all kind of look like you." He said it flatly, no malice at all. Like his wife leaving the family was no big deal. He even gave me a playful wink, summing up his analysis. "I think maybe Selena can't let go." I was puzzled. Can't let go of what? Can't let you go, put you in that place. I was speechless at that, but it made me more determined. "Alex, I think you're mistaken." "Why?" "Because in front of money, status, and advantages, she'd let go of more than just me. To Selena, I'm like her favorite lemonade. She can't replace alcohol with lemonade, but she can't drink lemonade forever, either. And what about me now? I'll just head for the horizon, towards the sun. The sun is always a sunset and a sunrise. When it's setting, it's rising on the other side, spreading that brilliant glow. One day, I'll quietly step down from the hill. And when that day comes, a boy will surely come up, full of enthusiasm and innocence. Of course, it won't be me, but maybe, in a way, it still is." Selena's epilogue. When Michael left on the first day, Selena slept in late, a rare occurrence for her. She usually had trouble sleeping. Michael was always the one to get up first, prepare everything, and gently wake her up. Michael was gone. So, Selena had no alarm clock. The housekeeper was afraid of disturbing her and didn't dare wake her. By the time Selena dragged her tired eyes open, the meeting she was supposed to attend had already been over for an hour. She picked up her phone, called her assistant, and rescheduled. Cleared her throat. Feeling a bit tight, she instinctively called out, "Michael, can you get me a glass of water?" As soon as the words left her mouth, Selina was momentarily stunned. She smiled at her own forgetfulness. She'd forgotten she sent him away yesterday. Looking at the time, she estimated Michael had already arrived in H-City. Selina fiddled with her phone, wanting to check on Michael in H-City. But at the last moment, she hung up. Never mind, she thought eventually they had to cut ties. Selina couldn't quite understand her own feelings. She was the one who brought up introducing marriage prospects to Michael. Why did she feel unsatisfied when he didn't agree? And even more annoyed when he did? Selina looked at the files in her hand. Each one carefully picked by her, with families, backgrounds, and characters matching Michael. Even if future marriages changed, he wouldn't be easily manipulated. Yet in the end, she chose the ones who resembled her the most. What was she trying to prove? In her heart, Selina disdained herself. She never thought of herself as indecisive, but things always seemed off when it came to Michael. When her secretary sent her photos of Michael having a good time with those people, she sat expressionless by the window, smoking all night. She didn't know what she wanted to do, but she really wanted to go to H-City and ask Michael, "Michael, did you notice anything? Don't you see something they all have in common?" Selina stubbed out her cigarette, figuring she was probably messed up. Selina always knew she was someone with clear goals. From the moment she met Michael, brought him back, warned him. She always understood she was trading something abundant for his most genuine time. So when she decided to get married, she didn't feel guilty at all. She thought it was mutual consent. And it really was. That's why she offered him an agreement. Knowing Michael, he'd take it and leave quietly, even without signing it. Michael wouldn't cause a scene at her wedding in front of Henry. He's always been a gentleman, just in love with the wrong person. Yes, Selina always knew Michael liked her. But so what? Faced with money, status, and advantages, Michael could be let go. Even if she regretted it, there would be many replacements. That's how she thought and what she did. But gradually, Selina realized things might not be as under control as she thought. Her marriage with Henry was a business deal. They had agreed before marriage to live separate lives. She wasn't afraid of Henry knowing. As long as they kept up appearances outside, they were the perfect couple. But she feared Michael finding out. Felt like both covering up and anger. When she found out Henry went to see Michael, Selina was furious. She even lost control when speaking to Henry. At last, tired, she wiped her face and told Henry, "Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm too emotional. Do you want anything? I can make it up to you." Henry just gave her a cold look, scoffing. "Selina, you think I'm like those boy toys of yours? Give me a few gifts and I'm happy?" Made Selina feel even more ashamed. It also suddenly reminded her of the last unpleasant meeting with Michael. Selina had some drinks back then. She watched Michael in the wind, waiting for the driver. For a moment, it felt like going back to the year they first got together. Back then, Michael was curious about everything. He liked cats, liked dogs. Loved dragging her outside in the dead of winter to watch fireworks in the city. "You like them so much? If you like them that much, let's go to City G someday when we have time. I'll set off fireworks for you by the sea. How about that?" Really? Really? Did they ever set off those fireworks? Seems like they didn't. They were too busy. By the time they had free time, Selina forgot about the long-ago promise. Actually, that day when they parted, Selina did ask Michael, "Do you want to come back?" "Back where?" "Back to me." Michael didn't say yes or no. He just smiled and said, "Selina, I don't want to hate you." So Selina dropped the idea. She had planned to ask just for the sake of asking. Even if Michael disagreed, she was going to make him come back to her. She really didn't like how Michael had become. He seemed so unfamiliar. She felt like something had slipped away from her control. They used to be so close. She used to like seeing him bright and dazzling on stage. Yet she also wanted to hide him away, not wanting anyone else to see. But Michael, he knew her too well. He knew her dirty thoughts, her shady soul. He also knew how to make her back down. So let him fly. After all, what attracted her in the first place was his uprightness in the sun. His never-yielding soul. They grew together. They supported each other. She swapped the most trivial things for his most genuine time and love. And then, In the struggle of human nature, she lost that genuine heart. So later, when Selena found out Michael married Anna, a young entrepreneur back from abroad, Anna set off fireworks for him in City H. On the very same day, on the seaside in City G, another splendid fireworks show was held. Selena knew Michael's love and hate were pure. He couldn't hate her, but hate seemed to last longer than love, and she ended up with nothing. She could only stand at the harbor, facing the evening breeze, listening to the tourist girls softly singing. Who promised you heaven and earth, who shared with you half a step in the sea of bitterness and love, and in this sea of love and hate, where was their heaven and earth?